All that breaking news in the NFL when it comes to Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson set to serve a 6-game suspension if is upheld there for violating the league's personal conduct policy following accusations of sexual misconduct. That recommendation handed down by Sue Robinson. By the way, the NFLPA will not appeal, while the NFL, they have 3 days to find appeal there on the decision. Watson is facing additional fines, will not face additional fines, if he serves the full 6 games. His first debut will Week 7 against the Ravens on October 23rd for the Browns. Join us now, NFL insider Brady Quinn here. And of course, at one point we thought it was going to be a year suspension. There was talk of maybe 10 to 12. B-Mac had mentioned that. Then there was that little hole of 6 to 8. Now we're at 6 games for Watson in 2022. Your reaction to that news coming down today?
Well, I think if you were following the reports, you knew it was leading this way. Now, the NFL had floated out there earlier this spring that they were pushing for a year-long suspension. I'm not even sure they really want that. I think they just wanted to leak that out there to let everyone know that they knew that was never going to be in play here. It was going to be at most maybe about half a season, if not a little bit less, and we end up at 6 games. So it's not overly surprising to hear the decision by Sue Robinson. I don't expect the NFL is going to appeal this, and I think everyone's going to move forward now and look forward to that opportunity for Deshaun Watson to get back on the field. Let's not mistake ourselves. The NFL is better when they have the faces of these franchises, and that's the quarterbacks as a part of them. And this has been the biggest story in the league now for almost 2 years. And so there's a lot of Cleveland Browns fans clamoring for him to get back. There's a lot of people who are curious to see what he's going to look like when he's back. So that's why I never really felt like you were going to see a long suspension here in play, even though that was reported and touted about for a little bit. I think that was more for optics than anything else. But, look, it's hard to compare this to anything else, as I've heard other analysts try to do. It's such a unique scenario that I don't think anything else that's happened outside of the realm of football or even within football, you can compare to this because it's so unique. I mean, who else has had 24 allegations or civil lawsuits, I should say, against him that he's had to settle, which I believe he's settled 23 of the 24 at this point and has been investigated on. I mean, it's unheard of at this point. I don't think we're ever going to see anything like this again. So it's not an easy position for Sue Robinson to be in. But at the end of the day, that's the punishment that she served forth. And we all just kind of have to wait and see how this plays out for the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson.
Those first 6 games, want to take a look at the schedule, of course, starting on the road against the Panthers. And then the last game of that suspension, if it's upheld there, taking on the Patriots, his first chance to debut against the Ravens here. And Brady, I want to pick your mind on this. Playing the QB position, we are thinking about it here. The Browns may be preparing for this with Jacoby Brissett coming in the fold this offseason, signing him to a 1-year deal. But how does this mess up the camaraderie there that maybe Watson is somewhat built in training camp? Because put in perspective, he wasn't there last year. So this is a whole new ball game for him in Cleveland and those targets here when you talk about the Browns and their chances in 2022.
Yeah, but he's been there all offseason. They've been preparing him as he's going to be the starter. And so, I think the most interesting part of all this is going to be how they handle the preseason, because you've got a guy who didn't play last year. He's obviously not going to be able to play for the first 6 games of this season. How much do you elect to play him? The Browns have been a team that, I think amongst with some others that they'd like to hold back their starters, maybe play him a little bit. But do you play Deshaun Watson a little more in the preseason to get his feet wet, to knock off some of the rust that he may have from not playing, because he's going to have to sit out those 6 games. Now, he will be able to come back after the first 3 weeks, start practicing again with the team to get back and develop that chemistry again. But, I think those are the concerns that you have in general for any quarterback or any player joining a team that's a new system, new players out around him. So that's no different than anyone else. I think the toughest thing for Jacoby Brissett is, he's got to stay healthy and he's just got to give them a chance to win some of these games. Their first 4 games are not that difficult. I mean, they should be able to come away at least 500 if he just takes care of the football and is a good decision maker. With that ground attack, their defense and some of the playmakers, he doesn't have to do a whole lot. Now, the last 2 of the suspension, that's where things get difficult. Obviously, taking on the LA Chargers, which are one of the more talented teams, and potentially fighting for the AFC West in a playoff spot this year, and then the New England Patriots, which we obviously know their track record with Bill Belichick and Mac Jones looking to prove on year 1. But the biggest key in all this is the Browns only miss 1 division game without Deshaun Watson. That's huge. Now, granted, he comes right back into 2 divisional games versus Baltimore and Cincinnati when he comes back from the suspension. But the truth of the matter is that's gigantic in regards to the Browns' playoff chances because, yeah, he's going to miss some time. And obviously that's going to hurt them because if he's on the field, he gives them the best chance to win. But if they can come out of that stretch, those first 6 games, 3-3, and allow him to come back for 5 divisional games, it gives them a chance to win the division and it gives them a chance to get them that playoff spot.
Still a chance for them when you talk about the AFC North, as you mentioned there. Brady Quinn, as always, appreciate your time. On that breaking news, Deshaun Watson suspended the first 6 games of the season. Taking a look at that QB room, the Browns kind of beefing it up after he sent Baker Mayfield away. Jacoby Brissett coming in the offseason, Josh Dobbs, and then Josh Rosen added just last week, looking for that QB2 when it comes to those 2 individuals. Brissett, of course, elevated to QB1 with Watson gone the first 6 games. And then Dobbs and Rosen kind of duking it out there for QB2 and maybe options of playing this season in the preseason and into week 1.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.